Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today on this episode, I wanted to walk you through my favorite topwater baits for fall fishing. Now, the thing about fall is that fall is a great time to throw any topwater bait. You know, depending on what type of fishery you're on, what type of cover you're fishing, and what type of species you're looking at, any topwater really can work. But these are several topwater baits, topwater categories that I think just are standouts during the fall time period. So let's go ahead and without further ado, start on the first topwater bait. So the first topwater bait really fits in with my style of shallow water power fishing. It's one that when you start seeing the shad move into the backs of the creeks and the bass are following those shad, this is one that I really love to pick up because it's a bank beating technique, and that is a buzzbait. A buzzbait is a really good one for fall fishing, but it is a lot of fun to catch them on too, because it's one of those that you can get in the back of a creek and just cover water, move fast, put the trolling motor on probably like, you know, the 70%, whatever the settings look like on your trolling motor, and just fly down the bank and move this thing pretty quick. And it gets ferocious strikes. You know, when they're keyed up on this bait, boy, it is exciting. And really, that's kind of the situation I throw this bait in. Once I start seeing the fish really relate to either the back 2/3 of the creeks, that's when I start fishing this. Dirtier water, dingier water. You can throw it around laydowns, which is really good. You can throw it around pretty, sparse vegetation, or even in just open water, shallow banks. But the biggest key with a buzzbait to me is having shallow water. This is not going to be a great bait for calling fish up to the surface in deep water. Yes, you can do it, but it's definitely not geared towards that style of fishing. It's really for the dirtiest, shallowest water. So a buzzbait's going to be one of my first choices. I really like to lean on a white buzzbait. That's my preference this time of year. I mean, the fish are keyed up on shad, and even though they'll eat like a black buzzbait, white is the one that I have the most confidence in. So, buzzbait, really, really good one. The tackle that I use with my buzzbait is very similar to some of these other baits. As far as rod and reel, I like to use a 7.3 medium heavy Versus Series rod from Fitzgerald with a 7.2-to-1 gear ratio casting reel. And usually lately, a lot of guys use braid. I think braid is a great choice for throwing a buzzbait, but also fluorocarbon. When you think fluorocarbon, you think, oh, well, that line sinks. It's not going to be very good for topwater fishing. And that's true for most topwater baits. You don't want to, like with a walking bait or a popper or something like that, you don't want the fluorocarbon to bring the nose of that bait down. You want it to float where the nose is up. With a buzzbait, it's already going to sink. If you're not reeling it in, it's going to sink. So, and I like fluorocarbon because it has a little bit of stretch, but not near as much as monofilament. So I think it gives the bass a good opportunity to slurp it in without you overreacting and pulling it away. And you get that cushion during the fight. So I like to use like 20-pound test Seagar, red label. Fluorocarbon like that, inexpensive fluorocarbon that you're not worried about line diameter or anything like that, that's just tough as nails, that's going to work. So that is my setup for that. The next bait or category of topwater baits that I really like to lean on this time of year is going to be a walking bait. Something like a Zara Spook. We got some good old Vixens in here, some Sammies. Got some of the Yozuri walking baits. But walking baits in general, no matter what brand you're using, what type. This one right here doesn't have the hooks on it because it's I used it last for I think I think I was fishing the Toyota Championship a few years ago on Gunnersville and didn't want to hook any fish. But anyways, walking baits are really good this time of year. There's a lot of, again, bait fish movement, but there's also a lot of threadfin shad, or not threadfin. The threadfin are definitely moving a lot, and that is a key food source for bass. But oftentimes I start focusing on the fish that are focused more on eating gizzard shad, those larger gizzard shad. And when you throw a bigger bait that can imitate, you know, those larger bait fish, those large gizzard shads, you tend to get bigger bites. And so this time of year, especially on the Tennessee River, whether you're fishing Gunnersville or Chickamauga, a walking bait like this does extremely good, especially when you're still talking about you know, those shallower shoals, you know, those shallower main river bars where the current is still a major factor. And that's where you tend to see more of the gizzard shad activity anyways, is kind of still on the main river, but maybe relating to like the mouths of those major creeks where the threadfin shad are making their way back into, and so are the gizzard shad too. But I tend to see the gizzard shad hang out on the main lake longer than I see the threadfins. So walking baits, really, really good just for covering water and fishing those open water areas where you've got those shallower shoals or long tapering points and things like that. The biggest key is finding the right structure, you know, to fish these baits. Once you find those areas where the fish are ganged up because there's a lot of bait fish movement in and out of an area, that's when a walking bait is going to be perfect, because you can really call fish from long distances. They really imitate, you know, shad very well, bait fish on the surface that are scared and trying to get away, and all that stuff. Another category of baits that are similar to walking baits, but I kind of put them in the same category, but they're just a little bit different, is like these. Like this right here is the Berkeley Cane Walker. Okay, it's a walking bait, but it has more of a concave mouth. These are designed to create more commotion with the mouth, so you're still getting that walking action that you see from like a traditional like spook or something like that, but you get more spitting action. So I think, and these also cast like a bullet. They're weighted on the butt so heavily that you can cast them long distances. These are even better if you're on a fishery where you know, you need to make long casts, or you know, you need to call fish from deeper water. These ones that spit a little bit more can oftentimes generate a lot more bites than just a traditional walking bait. But I kind of keep these in a similar category. They're just a little bit you know, different to accomplish a different thing. They're just another tool that you have. The final topwater bait category that really starts playing a big role this time of year, and this is one that, I mean, I love getting on this bite. Everybody that gets on this bite loves it. And that, of course, is throwing a hollow body frog over grass mats. Now, hollow body frogs are really good throughout the year, but when it comes to mat frogging, the fall is the deal. Especially you look at fisheries like Gunnersville or Chickamauga. I mean, you're really talking about October and November being the best months for this, because the grass mats are starting to die off at the root systems. They're really starting to create a lot of tunnels and areas for the fish to move around in. And so, you know, that's why it can get so darn good. So hollow body frog is going to be one that during the fall, especially October, November, as I said, is going to definitely get a big nod this time of year. You know, I'm really looking forward to the bite on chick, because pretty soon they're going to start dropping the water a little bit. And, you know, once the water starts dropping a little bit and those fish have less water over their heads while they're sitting in those mats, that's when this bite tends to start getting really good. I've even caught fish from underneath mats that the mats had frost on the top. I'm not even kidding. The first year that I moved to Gunnersville years ago, I think it was like 2012. I ended up crushing them in like mid and late November when there was frost on these mats on a frog, and just had a blast because nobody else was doing it. So anyways, guys, just wanted to show you some of my favorite topwaters. If you're looking to get into topwater fishing a little bit more this season, these are some different topwater baits that you really ought to try. They're going to work really well. I will throw another one in there. I'm not going to go grab it, but everybody knows about these baits. A whopper plopper is also a really good bait for the fall, especially if you're fishing a little bit deeper water than the buzz bait does well in. And you're still wanting to just cover a lot of water, you know, and keep that trolling motor on high. That's another really good one. So just throw that out there as a bonus. But anyways, let me know what you think of my list of topwater baits for fall fishing. Is there any that you would add into this list? Have I forgot anything that needs to be added? I want to know, so drop a comment below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and I'm going to see you out on the water. Trust the process.